Mitchell, and it looked like Kelsey Mitchell is in some serious hot water yet again. Guys, for this one here,
Kelsey Mitchell's "we all we got, we all we need" mantra quickly caught fire, sparking intense discussion among fans and pundits alike. The big question now is whether she'll regret it, especially with the names of Clark and Cunningham getting mixed into the conversation. So let's dig deeper. Was Kelsey really just pumping up her squad, or did she cross a line that could hurt the team's chemistry?
she's been here for the good, the bad, the ugly, and pretty much ever since the team been trashed. Now, ever since Caitlin has got to the team, ever since Caitlin has joined the team, the Indiana Fever has grown notoriety across the world. They is the hottest WNBA team in the country and pretty much one of the biggest teams in all of sports. With all of that being said, Kelsey Mitchell has been taking it upon herself to kind of say little things. And
Kelsey Mitchell has been with the Indiana Fever through thick and thin. She's weathered losing seasons, played in half-empty arenas, and persevered in a time when very few people cared about what the Fever were doing. For sticking it out and playing through those tough years, Mitchell deserves all the respect in the world. But here's the thing, just because she's the longest tenured player doesn't mean she has the green light to say whatever she wants without consequences. And that's where things went south. When Mitchell first repeated the phrase, "we all we got, we all we need," it might have seemed like a classic locker room rally cry, something that athletes say all the time to hype up their teammates, but context matters. And in this case, the context couldn't have been more important. Mitchell herself admitted that this mantra originated after Caitlin Clark went down with her injury.
Kelsey, one of your teammates said yesterday that you started saying in the huddles, we're all we got, we all we need.
Yeah, I said we all we got, we all we need, yeah.
How did that kind of come about? And do you remember when you started sharing that message?
Probably, it might have been after somebody got hurt. I won't even lie to you. It was early on. I think it was when CC got hurt, and I felt like it was deflating. It was hard for people to kind of see us and see our energy for what we brought to the table as a team. Hats off to CC for being a great teammate and having to go through so much with injury. But like the all we got, all we need was it's a staple to who we trying to be as a team and who we want our culture to be. We can't help the ones that's not here, which is unfortunate, but we can help who is and be present about that and not disrespect the game because, I would like to think that CC, Aire, Sid would want to play and be in our shoes. And so I think the all we got, all we need is just, it's kind of like a respect thing, but to put it in the air that we all we got and we all we need because...
So instead of rallying around her injured teammate, instead of showing support for the player who's the future of the franchise, Mitchell's message seemed to shift. It sounded like, Clark is out, but we don't really need her anyway. Maybe Kelsey didn't mean it that way, but that's how the fans interpreted it. And once those words are out there, they can't be taken back, no matter how much Mitchell tries to explain herself.
I don't know if she's dissing Caitlin Clark, but a lot of people is insinuating that. Now, we have seen time and time again, members of her family even take shots at Caitlin Clark. Now, those are facts.
The truth is, Kelsey Mitchell is an incredible player. She's one of the most consistent scorers in the league, and she's earned her reputation as a bucket getter. But scoring buckets and being a true leader are two different things. Leadership requires understanding the bigger picture, seeing the team as a whole, and being able to elevate everyone around you. When you say we all we need right after a teammate goes down, especially someone like Clark, who's been a cornerstone for the team's recent success, it sounds more like subtraction rather than addition. And that's where the instant regret begins to kick in.
Kelsey, through all the ups and downs of this season, and I know you have bigger goals in mind, but the team ensured a 500 finish, back-to-back years doing that. I mean,
it's a big deal.
Right, given everything that this team has gone through this year, and the fact that you guys, I think, are one win away from securing a playoff spot, like what did it take to kind of stay the course, and what does that mean to just at least get that one thing kind of checked off?
It's definitely a stepping stone in the right direction. I think considering where this organization has been and some of the great players that's come through it, we got to look at this, like I said, for a winning moment tonight. It doesn't happen a lot, and where we've been at, you guys know what it's been like the last couple of years here, and so to see the tables kind of turn, it works in our favor, and I think that we deserve it from a standpoint of we put the work in to be here, and so I like to think that you guys gonna keep sticking it with us too, because you guys deserve it. In order to capture good content and all that, you got to win, and so I think it goes together as far as both sides, but I think it's definitely important for us to kind of bask in it for a little bit because I remember where this group was.
Fans aren't letting this one slide. Ron rose for it. Let's face it, the Fever's rise in popularity, their increased TV ratings, the sold-out games, and the jerseys flying off the shelves, all of that has happened because of Caitlin Clark. Whether Mitchell likes it or not, Clark has turned the Fever into a national story. Kelsey Mitchell can score 28 points on a given night, but unless someone happens to check the box score, it will barely make a ripple. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, puts up 15 points, hits a couple of clutch threes, and suddenly, it's trending across every social media platform. It's not a knock on Mitchell's game, it's just the nature of the business. But rather than embracing the fact that Clark's presence has helped raise her own profile, Mitchell's comments come off as something entirely different: resentment. Fans hear her words and begin to think that she doesn't appreciate what Clark brings to the table, and that's a perception that can be incredibly damaging. Once fans start believing that you're jealous of your teammate, the narrative writes itself. And this isn't the first time we've seen that happen. Just ask Sophie Cunningham, who's been painted as the villain of the league for years. Cunningham, for better or worse, has become the league's bad girl. Anytime something physical happens on the court, you can bet Sophie's name will trend on social media. She's been called dirty, cocky, and a lot worse. But Sophie doesn't back down. She knows exactly who she is, and she plays her role unapologetically. Now, because Mitchell's comments inadvertently draw attention to the very same divisive energy that Sophie's dealt with for years, Cunningham's name is being pulled into the conversation. The issue here is that the Fever actually need both Clark and Mitchell to coexist if they want to be successful. This isn't a battle of who scores more or who gets more media coverage. It's about balance. Cunningham, Mitchell's scoring ability combined with Clark's playmaking could be a perfect duo, but every time Mitchell throws shade, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it makes that balance harder to establish. And let's be real, Sophie Cunningham would probably laugh her way through this entire situation. She's been through it before. She's dealt with being called the league's villain. She's heard all the trash talk, and she's still standing strong. Sophie thrives on the chaos, but Mitchell, she seems uncomfortable when the spotlight turns negative, and now, thanks to her "we all we need" mantra, she's stuck in the middle of it. And here's the kicker. The Fever didn't exactly set the league on fire without Clark. Sure, they scraped together a few wins, but when your rally cry is "we don't need her," you better back it up with dominance on the court. Instead, the Fever have been inconsistent in Clark's absence. That makes Mitchell's words look even worse. If you're going to claim that you don't need Clark, then prove it by dominating your opponents. Otherwise, you're just giving critics more ammo to fire at you. It's almost comical in a way. The same players who roll their eyes at Clark's attention fail to realize how much they benefit from it. Without Caitlin Clark, nobody is talking about Mitchell's comments. Nobody cares. But with Clark in the spotlight, everything is amplified. And that's the price of fame. If you're on her team, you're in that spotlight too. The regret for Mitchell really starts to sink in when you think about how she didn't anticipate the fallout from a simple locker room phrase. When she said "we all we got, we all we need," she probably thought it was just a motivational line, a way to hype up her teammates. But as soon as Clark's injury was factored in, the interpretation of those words completely shifted. Suddenly, Mitchell wasn't seen as a leader trying to motivate her squad. She was viewed as a veteran dismissing the player who had turned the Fever into a cultural phenomenon. And that's a look no one wants. The sad part is that Sophie Cunningham, of all people, knows exactly what it's like to deal with the perception of being the bad guy. She's been unfairly labeled as dirty and cocky, yet she takes it all in stride. Sophie flips that negative energy into fuel for her game. But Mitchell, unfortunately, hasn't figured out how to use the attention in the same way. Instead of embracing Clark's spotlight to elevate herself, Mitchell's words make it seem like she's trying to carve out her own lane by taking shots at her teammate. And that's not the kind of chemistry the Fever need. If Mitchell and Clark can't coexist, if one feels slighted by the other, the team's chances of success become that much harder. This is nothing new in sports. Veterans get their feelings hurt when a flashy new star comes in and steals the spotlight. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when that star is doing things that veterans have been trying to do for years. Mitchell has been the steady scorer, but Clark has been the cultural shift, and that's something Mitchell will have to come to terms with. Here's the thing. Mitchell doesn't have to love Caitlin Clark. She doesn't need to be best friends with her. But she must respect what Clark means to the Fever. Without Clark, they're just another small market team struggling for attention. With her, they're a national story. And if Mitchell can't see that, she's missing the big picture. This is where the regret really hits. Mitchell's words may not have been intended as a slight, but once the fans started interpreting them differently, the damage was done. The narrative was set. And once a narrative sticks, it's almost impossible to rewrite. If Mitchell doesn't embrace the reality of her situation, the way Sophie Cunningham has embraced her role as the league's villain, she risks being branded with a label she won't be able to shake off. The label of the jealous veteran, the one who didn't appreciate the player who brought the team to the national stage. Fans will defend Caitlin Clark without her having to say a word. They've already seen how Sophie Cunningham's path has been painted by the media, and now they're looking at Mitchell through the same lens. Once that perception takes hold, Mitchell will find it nearly impossible to win back the trust of the fans. Every word she says will be dissected for any hint of jealousy, and every game she plays will be analyzed through that same critical lens. At the end of the day, this isn't about stats. This isn't about who scores the most points. It's about perception. And once that perception changes, it's hard to turn it around. Mitchell might have thought that her mantra was just a harmless line, but in the context of Clark's injury and Cunningham's legacy, it looks like something far more damaging. The regret for Mitchell is real, and it's going to stick with her until she figures out how to make it right. Wat krapels wordt het fall ivern trek separar sikens out the really douches this douchit. En ze snake kunnish de bekwabi kunrust, that her Georgie Harberleefshall.